Hi everyone, it's Chenso from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about Survivor Season 49, Episode 7, titled Blood Will Be Drawn. Last week on Survivor, another day, another tribe swap, left tribes in three groups of four, and when new Kelly went to tribal, Sage finally made her move when she, Jawan, and Steven sent Guru Shannon back to her teachings. Before I dive in, I put a link in the description to my playlist. To catch up on my previous recaps, if you like the content, consider liking, subscribing, and using my link to try Paramount Plus for free. Shout out to these winners for guessing the costumes last week. You know what? Everyone's a winner. If you're on the screen, check the pinned comment for your prize. But let's dive into it. Heading back to camp, Sage, Jawan, and Steven sharing a big hug, feeling like a little alliance now. Jawan tells us these three are about to destroy the status quo heading into the merge. He wants to act like he's still with the Ulis and then turn on them. The next day at Uli, face crack of the century from this iguana. Players get tree mail saying they made it to the merge. Nate plans to rejoin and stay loyal to his original tribe mates. On Hina, MC still doesn't have a vote. She'll get a clue after the immunity challenge. To her idol, Sophie B still has her knowledge as power that she plans to use to stay loyal to the original Ulis. They're all heading to Kelly Beach, where Steven, Jawan, and Sage named their alliance Bottoms Up. Now, everyone's on the same beach, hugging and cheering, but Bottoms Up are not excited at all. They're not looking forward to joining the group and explaining that Shannon is gone. When Shannon's not there, the original Ulis are predictably confused and upset. Bottoms Up tell their fairy tale, a fabrication that Shannon was being a monster, snapping at everyone, that Shannon was targeting Jawan. Basically, Shannon went crazy, and that Shannon told everyone about Rizzo's idol. The original Ulis are buying the story. At this point, Savannah's decided to forgive Sage and Jawan for annoying her in the past, but Sage isn't buying Savannah, buttering her up. She still wants Savannah out. They get a chest and a clue for a little mini challenge. There are keys scattered in the jungle. The first person to find the key that opens the chest will win an advantage in the next challenge. So players run around the jungle and waste time because these have to be 90-minute episodes. In the end, Sage wins the advantage and a golf clap from the group. The hills are alive with the sound of chickens, and Rizzo gets to work on bringing the Ulis and Sophie B together to make the majority. Sophie B still wants to work with Alex, though she tells us she feels more loyal to the Ulis than to Alex. So Sophie wants to bring Alex onto her side, but Alex tells us he just wants to play the middle. Savannah names the chickens teriyaki, Kentucky Fried, and General So, nothing is stopping her from eating these chickens. She even kills the chicken herself with confidence. Elsewhere, Sage tells Sophie S that the old Ulis are targeting her, so Sophie's worried and wanting to win Dat immunity, which brings us to Dat challenge. There's big balls in the sand. Jeff addresses the two Sophie situation, forcing them to rename themselves. They decide that Sophie B is now Soph, and Sophie S gets to stay Sophie. This somehow didn't feel like a mutual compromise, and I'll stick with their initials. Players have officially merged, but not everyone is getting the merge feast. They'll split into two groups. In part 1 of today's challenge, the two groups will face off. The winning team will earn the merge feast, and that winning team will move on to part 2 to compete for individual immunity. Jeff unveils the immunity necklace that Julie Chen would wear to host Big Brother. She loves a big old tooth accessory. Jeff also teases the group that there are spots open on season 50, a random thing to say at this time, but okay. Sage's advantage is she gets to sit out of part 1, automatically winning reward, and gets to play in round 2. For part 1, teams need to dig up their giant balls, maneuver them through obstacles, climb up the ball onto the platform, and solve a word puzzle. We have yellow team, both Sophies, Rizzo, Steven, and Nate, and blue team, Christina, Savannah, Alex, MC, and Jawan. They get started with blue getting to a lead in their ball roll, leading the whole way right to the puzzle, but eventually both teams are working on the puzzle. From the sidelines, Sophie B figures the puzzle out, allowing the yellow team to pull ahead and win part 1 and the reward feast. Jeff is trying to tell us that yellow won by a hair, but blue was nowhere near right. So Sophie's B and S, Sage, Rizzo, Steven, and Nate will move on to part 2, where they'll be balancing on a beam while balancing a ball on top of their poles. It'll get more difficult as they go, and the last player standing will win immunity. Rizzo tells Jeff he feels like $1,000,000, and they get started. Rizzo's stirring the pot with it, which proves to be ineffective when he's first to drop, followed by Sage and Nate. Next to drop is a hefty bead of sweat off Sophie S. Then Sophie B drops out, leaving Sophie S and Steven, the last two standing. Jeff puts them on hard mode, and Steven drops quickly, giving Sophie S individual immunity, which she dedicates to her mom. That's nice. Back at camp, it's a great day for Sophie S. She's got immunity and a reward that's not fruit. And Sage farts, which feels important to the plot. Nate tells us that Sophie S was a target, but now she's off the table, and they need to pick a different Hina to target. The challenge losers get no reward, but MC has a chance to look for her idol, finding a map to a key that will unlock her little treasure chest, but Savannah catches her looking, and when MC spots the key, Savannah tries to throw herself on top of the keys, which fails. There's a lot of keys for MC to try. While Savannah supervises and talks MC's ear off, MC tells us that Savannah is scary. Eventually, Savannah leaves MC alone, and MC does get her idol and her vote back. Later, Iguana and Fly get freaky. Sophie S catches Rizzo and Savannah scheming. Sophie and Christina think Rizzo may play his idol for Savannah, so they're leaning toward putting their votes on Nate. Sage thinks they should still target Savannah. Savannah tells Sophie B that MC found the idol, which is good news for Sophie, since she can steal the idol with her knowledge as power. The Ulis decide to target Steven. Jawan is not down to target his bottoms-up ally. Rizzo also tells Jawan that he's not playing his idol tonight, which tempts Jawan to put the vote on Rizzo. Christina and Sophie B annihilate the Ham Mock. The Hinas are all over the place. They can't decide on a target, and heading to Tribal, dear listeners, I had no idea what was about to happen. So they head to Tribal, a first for Christina, MC, and Sophie S. Talk is general chit-chat about the merge, giving Jeff non-answers. Jawan returns to his metaphor about horror movies, saying he feels like he's trying to avoid being the next on the slasher's kill list. They talk about idols. Rizzo whips his idol out, telling the group he plans to play it tonight, and maybe not for himself, and that he's wearing red because blood will be drawn tonight. Ooh, he said the thing. They talk again about Survivor 50, with Savannah telling Jeff she definitely wants to be there and is willing to make a splash to make it happen. They vote, and when Jeff asks for advantages, Rizzo does nothing. MC stands up and plays her idol on herself, and Rizzo still doesn't play his idol. Jeff reads the votes, and there's 4 votes in that thing for Steven, but ruh-roh Raggy, there's 7 for Nate. So we have to say goodbye to Nate, who there was a lot of buzz about preseason. Being this big name Hollywood producer, I was interested to see how that would play out, with Jawan being such a Marvel fan, and was disappointed that he never shared about his career with the other players. He ends up being a loyal number for Uli the whole game, to the end here, in this episode, where he's going to stay loyal, even though he had no protection from his allies. And Rizzo seemed to be putting on a show with the idol to protect he and Savannah only, which did shovel the votes onto Nate, though of course they didn't know that Jawan and Sage were gonna flip. Again, really disappointed that he never bonded with Jawan, which makes that probably his biggest mistake, as there was such an obvious opportunity there, and the lack of a bond was the reason that he went home. I found Nate to be a bit of a boring character, who I don't really need to see again, but did find him pleasant when he was talking about his family. So that's all I have to say about this episode. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the episode, the merge, and Nate's departure. If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'll be back next Wednesday with more Survivor. Until then, you know where to find me. Bye.